even exist, you don't give respect to the creator of existence. Shame of this thing. Great.
We don't want to be ungrateful, do we?
And don't let nothing else take place of you before it. That's why I said the first to begin.
Yeah. And that's big to me.
Oh, that's big in my book.
The first,
The
we all know, all of us done been through something where we wanted to be first.
Right on. Right on.
And that's why we can't know we have the truth until you can start at the first.
Right on.
We got to start at the beginning.
Hey. Your social security number have a beginning number, don't it? You learn that well.
And yes, that becomes a new memory.
Your checking account or your banking account have a beginning number. You learn that well. I ain't gonna mention the phone number.
Yeah, these become new memories. Yes.
That's how you know them Persian and all of them with them Bibles and stuff ain't got it right. That right there, the first verse will tell you what it's all about.
And that's how we know all false scripture.
That's right.
Because it don't even start off right.
That's right. Come on with it.
There is a such thing as false scripture. I hope we need to really sit on that for a second. Hold up. You said that it's a such thing as false scripture?
Yes, indeed. I'll prove it.
Then they say all scriptures. So when you say all scriptures and then you say there's a false scripture,
something ain't right.
The false and all ain't going together. Because all scripture is supposed to be true. And if all scripture ain't true, then it's some false scripture. So we know, all of us know true or false.
That's right. We've been asked that in school.
We familiar with truth or false. So that means false scripture exists.
That's right.
Yes, so this is how we discern ourselves. By what? Not participating and believing in scripture. And the truth should set us apart.
Right on. And you know, I was just thinking this moment about the beginning. And for some reason, everybody done been hooked with the hook of King James Version. That's the beginning. In the first. And they locked in right there and can't get past it.
That's why it's important to understand exactly what you just said. Some books that we've been introduced to.
Yeah.
And we're going to get into a clear conception of why these books was introduced. But let's start with some familiarity.
Right on.
We're familiar with the Bible and the Quran.
Yeah.
At least as a word, and knowing that these words refer to a book. Is that right?
That's right.
So we now can at least say, since it referred to a book, we can pick the book up and read it.
That's right.
In our native language. As they would say.
Uh-oh, you done messed me up there, because I speak English.
As you do, you got native language here and there. And so that's why it's good to have the truth. And most of these books, they tell you that the creator is not every language. Is that true? The creator speak one language. Is that true? The creator have favorites. Is that true?
It sure is.
So some of these things in false scriptures are written in books that are contained to have scriptures. But how will we know if what we have as a scripture is true or false? So the beginning is very prominent.
It sure is.
We don't have to pull up Genesis 1 and 1. We know how it starts. In the beginning.
That's right.
Not the beginning, in the beginning.
In the beginning.
Not in a name, but in the beginning.
In the beginning. Right on.
Mm.
Right on. Mm-hmm.
So, in their understanding, for the people who gave us the Bible, their creator would be the nameless.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have a name.
Sure don't. It sure doesn't.
We all know and understand that when we pull up Sufa 1,
Mm-hmm.
we see in the name.
Yep.
For site purposes, let's put KJV 1 and 1.
Yeah. See what this is.
Let's see what we can get. Both need to put Genesis.
Yeah.
We want to see for ourselves, do it starts off in the name or does not?
Mm-hmm.
So we have Genesis 1 and 1, and we have Sufa 1 and 1.
Mm-hmm.
So let's place these side by side. And then we'll place the next book we was bringing into discussion side by side.
That's a good way to do it. Comparison. Mm-hmm.
So the Bible opens as in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
as its first 3 words.
Mm-hmm.
The Sufa first 3 words is in the name.
Mm-hmm.
Just from discernment, can you discern the difference?
I can. Mm-hmm.
One begins in a name, the other one does not begin in the name. So it would be nameless.
Mm-hmm.
The word name is not in Genesis 1 and 1.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a brain, you should be able to put together without being told through reasoning and being able to see and hear and sensible to why is the name there. Why would not say in the name of God? Why does the Bible not open up in the name of God?
That's right.
So that's a
good question.
That's for the self to think about.
Mm-hmm.
We all have to think about this. Not be told. Being told doesn't do anything. The realism is that it exists. What you didn't know that the Sufa existed.
Yes. Right there. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's look up the Quran.
Yeah. See what they talking about.
Yes. Don't tell me that. There we go. All right, now we got, they got it in the language right there. But it's supposed to be Al-Fatiha 1 and 1. So the Quran, this is the Quran. The Quran opens up in the name. So just from the initial beginning, we have the Sufa and the Surah as the first three beginning. The other book, considered of the same class, does not begin in the name. So as you go on and read through the book, when you get to Jesus, you will see that the name is important. Jesus always constantly spoke of this name. And he was able to give his disciples and transfer the power through giving them the holy name. And you know what, etc., what goes after receiving the holy name. So now we have three comparisons held up side by side. We have the Al-Sufyan, we have Genesis 1 and 1, and Surah Al-Fatiha. So this we already see it's between the Al-Fatiha of the Quran and the Al-Fatiha of the Sufyan. Both words are spelled similar. Al-Fatiha, F-A-T-I-H-A-H. Then we see in the upper left corner, A-L-F-A-T-I-H-A-H. Only beginning difference would be the word Sufa, upper left, Sufa, and the word Surah. Surah, Sufa. So you tell me if you understand as a scholar what will come first. You tell me, scholar, from your self-study, what does Ra mean? And who are the worshipers of Ra? So if you're a non-scholar, then you wouldn't know where the word surah comes from. The word surah is a Persian word of Arabic dominion, means the wisdom of Myth Ra. So when you have surah, the ra is for myths, ra, myth, ra. See, and these are details of codes coded within the Persian text. So only one in four with study were able to pick these things up. Because after KOS is finished, the Al Sufyan arrives. Before KOS is finished, Genesis and the Quran, or the Bible and the Quran, is already present. So we have to understand, if these scriptures was not true to begin with, these scriptures would not be true to end with. So this is why you have the most clever out of the two, of the Babylonians representing the Bible and the Persians representing the Quran. The cleverest out of the two is the Persians. And you will see why if you go into the Arabic. This is Arabic at the top of the center of the screen. That is not the language of the Creator. Never assume that. That is Persian, Hindu, Urdu, Ugaritic script. This is what they would call Hebrew. Has nothing to do with the divine creator. As we will show that no other book will show. You won't find this in any other false scripture. Number 41. Behold, Allah is every language. So if the divine creator is every language, does it matter if it's Arabic? Does it matter if it's English? When we say every means all. So our divine creator is not a specific creator, it's the creator of all. So when we understand, how do we discern through the powers of ignorance laid higher than Mount Everest, for us to get to this one truth? It has been a milestone. So as you see, we're going to finish off in the Quran. After it goes within the name of Allah, it says the most compassionate, the most merciful. See, if people would just keep it true, as we say, keep it G, we wouldn't have to come to this. But since fake people can never keep it real, now they have to be exposed. So the Quran is by itself of a Persian origin and not sent from Muhammad. Muhammad has nothing to do with the Quran that you believe in today. Just like Jesus has nothing to do with the Bible you believe in today. These books are forged by putting their name on it and in it, which is a Persian process that we don't have to go through, but scholars understand this process, and it's called the process of Binai. In short, it's a science of nominalism, where they replace names with things. And we're going to get to that shortly. But we want to go back to the Al Sufyan and way to the Sufi. So the Suf starts off as in the name of Allah. The first, the beginning, the magnificent. As we see in the Quran, it's different. It's not the same. So we know we're now dealing with two different books, two distinct books. One, you have to discern from the other which one is true for yourself. I'm not here to tell you which one. I'm here to be which one it is for me. But as we understand what needs to be understood, the most understood thing that needs to be understood is the name of our divine creator. So you can't get right from wrong. Now, you can discern right from wrong, but you can never get right from wrong. So if they start us off wrong, there's no way we're going to have the result of being prosperous, well educated, and plenty, and prosperous. This is why the same people who are speaking this language has more than you. This language comes very new. This is not an old language. These are very new languages now upholding older things that's more ancient than the language. So Caucasians are ruling from the Bible, like it or not. That's right. Understand it or not. You yet to discern or not. Arabs are ruling from the Quran, like it or not. Understand it or not. This is just the truth of the matter. Your name and your game is not to join them. Your name and your game is to set yourself apart from them. So as we see, the first, the beginning, the magnificent is not even included. So the name that's in the Quran is actually the name commending Mithra. This is why it's called Surah. So both the God of the Bible and the God of the Quran are one and the same. These are two kingdoms that were not in Africa or America originally. Throughout their own history, running into each other, they had to combine to now create the distraction we have now as the double jeopardy, or are you Christian or are you Muslim? This is a control mechanism by these two kingdoms who won't rule over all cultures. So everywhere these invaders come, they come with a book to mock and imitate and to play out your culture on the land. Let's take it back a couple steps. If FBI wanted to infiltrate an organization, which it has. How did the FBI infiltrate those organizations? Did they infiltrate them by acting different, or did they infiltrate them by acting like them? So this is in reference to how they played on the land. These people are never and could never be by the Creator, Christian or Muslim. So now these people who could never be Christians and Muslims will need to play. Like we saying, FBI, they need to play like Christians and Muslims so they can see what you about, see what you do, get inside of your organization and start ripping it from the inside out. So ripping the inside out comes from the Arabic Quran and the English Bible, which are both books in one lodge. So the lodge is the secret holding the knowledge, not of the truth, but of the grand secret of the falsehood. The falsehood that all of this that you believe in, this is the greatest lie ever told. The greatest truth is you didn't know the truth. Or if you did, you would be the truth. Allah doesn't speak to man by wood, idols. Allah speaks through man through the perfected self. This is advanced. This thing has nothing to do with distortion coming from false scriptures that now people believe in and now do evil upon other human beings. The reason why evil exists is because false scripture exists. The people who are evil are using scripture to costume themselves into a costume that look like yours, Christian and Muslim. Christian and Muslim is pre-colonization, is pre-Caucasian, is pre-Indian, is pre-Arabian, is pre-Latino, is pre-Jamaican, Caribbean, any nationality you put on it. A Christian and a Muslim predates nationality. A Christian and a Muslim has nothing to do with geography as the way of a Christian and a Muslim. Nationality is the game being played on you. Most people not gonna get out of it because if you like me, both of these books in your home. And if you don't read them, you don't know what's in them. And if you don't never know what's in them, you don't even know what all this is about. So before we came to know the falsehood, all we knew was the truth. That truth has been suppressed and they wanted to not be revived. But the Creator begged to differ. They thought they could trick the divine Creator. So the same way they thought they could trick the divine Creator, they get you to think that you can trick the divine Creator and get you to do things that you would not do if you knew that the divine Creator is what the divine Creator is. Other than that, you could be persuaded, convinced, and influenced to do opposite of the Creator. So we have to bring it back to the beginning.
I would just like to say even in the Super One, and it has the title, The Opening. Yeah, Fatiha. And when you stop and think a moment, in our daily life, no matter where we go, there's a door that has to be open. You go to your car, there's a door that has to be open. You go to your closet or your room, there's a door that has to be open. So we can recognize the truth right from the get-go in the super, because we cannot enter. And Allah is that door, that opening. How you get the flow.
That's perfectly. That's what we all trying to get all souls back to.
That's right.
The evildoers going to decay on their own once we understand through discernment. They have no influence except character influence. Just influence your character by a character. All of this stuff is just like when you were young. It's a boogeyman type of thing. Your older people want to make themselves look scary and forceful as they are, but when you grow up, you see all this is just see-through. So it's the same thing when you're young and you told a boogeyman is this. I know I was. I hope all of us. And you believed it. And boogeyman is in the closet. Boogeyman is under the bed. Boogeyman can be everywhere. But you never dawned on yourself that all you had to do was think this through. In other words, you didn't think. All you did was just believe. So as a young child, I just believed the boogeyman exists. So you grow as a plant grows through obstacles and experiences for you to have self-knowledge. Now, a full-grown plant becomes a tree of life. This is the goal of what we ought to be. We ought to become a tree of life by the time we finish self-knowledge. The tree of life is the knowledge of self, as the manifestation of the highest wisdom in manifestation. But we can't go there or see that if we're in the wrong house. They have opened up trap, or let's say they have opened up doors of trap for you to walk in the trap, and they have beautifully designed, man-made design to keep you hypnotized. So these books, Bible and Quran, have had a hypnosis, and both of them deal with language. You can't be a Quran or you can't be a Muslim if you ain't saying a Shahada, they say. That's Arabic. You're not on the side of a Christian unless you believe in the language. See, so these two books containing two different languages is the hypnosis that we keep going back and forth from. It's called the black and white trestle board. So we got to break all the stumbling blocks of the black mind, causing it to not reach its black divinity. So in the beginning was dark as night. So all that was in the beginning came out of this dark as night. There's no other people on the planet that is dark as night except one people.
Right.
So when we understand the science of the moon and the star, this is not a celestial idol or a worship of an object. This is the story of man and woman how they became to be men and women. The moon represents night. The star represents sun. The moon is bigger because night began before day. The star is smaller because day come after night. So we have to understand divine order, and this is called the beginning. Divine order is called the beginning. In the beginning was the night. Out of the night came the light. So in the beginning was the black. We called it Al-Bakar. Al-Bakar was our name, our Native American language name before any invader came. And this means the divinity. So for us, black as a complexion, as a skin, for us always represented our divinity. We are the only people come out of night or come out of space. As you go deeper into the studies of the universe, you will find out cosmically that the universe was dark. So before a Big Bang, which is equivalent to a star exploding or an orgasm happening, remember stars orgasm explodes. That's orgasm for a star. So before then, it existed in something that pre-existed. So this is what is considered as dark, as black, as unseen, invisible, or is described dark as night. The only thing you can see is the white of the eyes. You tell me who that is. So we're talking about a magnificence that predates all history that we have been given as a false scripture for us to receive as is something real for us to believe in. We call that divinity. Now you call it black. We called it divinity. And as divinity, we called it Allah. Just like our creator, Allah. Allah is in Al-Bakar. It's easy once you understand your science. So we're going to get more back into it. That kind of covers what we want to get into. Let's pull up the notepad. Yeah, that's what we went over last Sunday. So now, this is your all. So this is the solution for all. Yes, the true name and the true naming is the force. This is our antidote. This is our panacea. This is our cure. This is our miracle. This is everything you want in your mind. You don't have to go to Europe. You don't have to go nowhere to meet it. You don't have to go to a book. You don't even have to step outside into nature. This is divinely present within you everywhere you are.
Beautiful.
Dead or alive.
Beautiful. Mm. Mm.
Now, the reason why we don't have the true name of anything is because that's the game. The game was to erase the true name. The name relates to your memory. So to wipe out your memory, they need to wipe out your true name. So to do that, the process called naming began. So we would know the origin of what naming came from. So this is why the Bible specifically don't open up in the name.
Mm-hmm.
And then right after those three words in the name, the Bible implants in the beginning. And then right after in the beginning, they put God, which was to give you a new name. To describe your whole experience of what is happening, what will be happening, and what is the future. This has been the most difficult thing for us to actually sink ourselves to. We're going to go into a little of their philosophy of how they create so you can get some contextualism around it in a philosophical manner. So they have something in all PhD studies. This is where, remember, now let's reverse right quick. Why we want to go to philosophy or philosophical thought? Because we have to understand the Caucasians and any race in between from white, the yellow, and the red. They are master deceivers. When I say master deceivers, that means they are master psychologists. So now when I say psychologists, meaning they have tapped into some philosophy of control with the mind. So they know now how to, let's say these psychologists now knows how to enter your mind because now you have their language. So it's really easy for them. But let's say before they came, we didn't have their psychology. This is something we have learned. But also with the learning, we got to get into the assimilation. Now, when they invade lands, this is they use a process called nominalism. Nominalism is the process of renaming. So if they want a ditty bop or they want a remix, this is how they do it. It's called nominalism in a PhD study of scholastic scholars. As we see through defining nominalism, it is a philosophical what? Position. See, they won't tell you that it's a position of the mind. See, they're going to give you the glamour with confusing words or even complex words. Now they start taking over your mind. Because guess what happens when someone speaks and you don't know what they're talking about? A blank happens. So within that blank, that's called an opening. And through that opening, they can use the hand of the mind of the psychologist to now snatch the soul, reach their hand inside of their mind and grab what they call a universal out of it. See, this is why we got to get deep into education. If we don't know, over 90% of Black people read less than 45 minutes a day, y'all.
What a shame. What a shame.
Under 45 minutes, this is the lowest of all ethnicities.
45 minutes.
Out of a 24-hour day, 45 minutes, some Black people are given their own self-education. So this is why it's easy to trick what they will come to say as the Black. But Black means divinity in its original true name. See, through nominalism, they was able to make something divine, something evil. You call the divine, let's say, if you call the divine, which is pure, perfect, and clean, you call that the devil. This is how you rename, or this is how you reorganize someone else's mind. This is what was done to all of us. These people who we are speaking on don't care what culture you're a part of. The mission is the same. Desecrate, destroy, and never stop. All forces employed. Now, if I ask you to name where you at, see, this is part of nominalism. See, you never called the land Georgia. You never called it California. You never called it New York. Your ancestor never called it these. That is called nominalism. Renaming for the doctrine of giving names to things opposite of what they are. We're going to go deep into it. So we understand when we leave here, everybody you deal with, you ain't dealing with them on a physical level. Don't get persuaded by the scent they smell good, the shoes on their feet. Listen, y'all, we dealing with psychology always. And when you dealing with someone not of your kind, you best to believe they on their best psychology behavior. So remember this, all deceivers are master psychologists. Keep this in mind now. They don't follow divinity. Psychology is different than divinity. So when you understand psychology, this is what happened to us. When we went to their schools, what they was really doing was giving us psychology. They were psychologizing. See, we didn't ever call it psychology. We had clear short words. Let me make this clear too. Our ancestry, outside of our divine language, when we said words, they were short and sweet. So this is why we have like the word truth. You see, the word truth is one syllable. If you ask the European or any nation in between what is their word for truth, it's longer because it's not real. They're making things up. If you actually knew what the word truth came from, you would actually know the definition. Remember, we got make-believe words from real words. That's right. This is why I keep showing us the Al Sufyan connect, like this, for instance. Most Black people's favorite superhero is this person.
Superman.
See, they didn't know that that's a nominalism. See, I can change your whole mind. We got to think, every time you hear me speak, when I speak, an image comes in your mind.
That's
If an image don't come in your mind, that's called blank. So now they have re-imaged your mind. When you think of Superman, you think of the image they gave you, because they go with the language they gave you. The real Superman was the word Sufian is the word Superman. See, most people won't get this. Take out the P from super and put the F, what you got? Superman. See, this is how native hobbyism took over your culture. All they do is diddy bop on it, remix it. They didn't come up with a letter nor a word. Every word that they came up with is from the original, and we have the original. That's why we say the word, not the letter. But once you start putting letters together, just like we did here, look what you start creating. A phonetic spell that is not even true, but you can say it. Erase the Caucasian Superman, and what do you have in your mind? Nothing. See, that's what I'm saying. They erased it. It's an Al Sufyan. This is what most people, I will hope, all of us receive it in this generation. Or they'll tell you in Star Wars. See what we're saying? Listen to the word, star. We just talked about the star earlier. Star Wars. See, a star is a sun, not a moon. Stars come out at light. Sun comes out with light.
Right on.
So they talking about light wars. The lighter people having wars. See, now we have to understand, why did Star Wars say in the movie that you have to learn to wield the force? See, they be making up things so you'll never know. Star Wars ain't real, so anything Star Wars say ain't real. So we start going to look for a myth within Star Wars, we'll never find unless whatever they tell us. And remember, they'll always have one up on you. This is the master psychologist. We refer this is back as this is why you get deceived. See, and we will never believe, unless you a believer, that the true name and the true naming is the enforcement, is the force. So through nominalism, they took this force away by giving it another name. So in other words, you call the divine the devil,
Yeah.
and you call the light God. Uh-oh. Now we got something called a cross spirit. They redefined the name and gave it its opposite nature to define it. Now making us clamorous, distorted in the mind.
Yeah.
For us, God has no association with divinity, which means dark. To us, God associates with light. This is why light can get up over on you. But don't let your own get up over on you.
Don't do that.
And you got more punishment doing it to your own than you got to punishment like a lion in the tiger. So we talk about abstract thoughts being redirected to mean material things. So now when you see something, this is why he's not a Christ is God. The Son is human and the Son is holy. All of that is myth, Rob. Why do you think they called it Rob? They come to myth. Rob. This is what Noble Drew Ali was saying. This is what